Uh, so I'll be just focusing on not the theoretical aspect, but running the presentation through certain projects that we executed in Mumbai, and essentially it's a larger collaborative with municipal corporation, with the urban center Mumbai, which is championing this, and the Pankaj Joshi Consultants, which is a private practice. So the essential thing is I'll be running through projects which we have uh, started somewhere in 2005, and which we are seeing completed in some form till 2025. So it's taken 20 years to just make footpaths. So and that's so it's not like I can't present this to in a architecture college. They'll say it's such a loser, like just making footpaths for 20 years. Anyways, uh, oh, yeah. So to start with the issues, I think my earlier speaker talked about this, and these are kind of l- what is happening? Okay. Yeah. So these are the situations which we see very often in Mumbai. Like we sow paddy every year, we do footpaths every year. It's like agriculture. We हर साल का खेती. So we need to kind of do it. And every time there's a new layer, there's a new kind of texture, and then of course these layers kind of come one about another, and these are sites which are there, and of course before the season we kind of open up the whole footpath, just the top layer, and then change it, put something, hope that it'll work. Then someone comes and digs up a utility line and forgets to kind of close it before monsoon, so that. And of course we blame the hawkers, but most of the footpaths which we discovered have been encumbered by cars. And when we ask why the cars are parked, they say हम किधर करेगा park, तुम parking दे रहे क्या हमको? So essentially that's also residents who are kind of entitled to park on a public footpath. So that is kind of, I think we'll, if the constitution changes, one of the entitlement will be parking on the footpath. One small thing. Jaruri hai. And then of course there have been kind of people trying to protect encroachment and encroaching the footpath. So gardens करेंगे, and then of course बहुत कितना भी बड़ा झाड़ रहेगा, you need a tree surround above the footpath, so नहीं तो गिर जाएगा. And then we are putting bollards so that vehicles don't go where anyways vehicles can't go. So both sides are blocked, जाएगा किधर? So, and then the kind of creativity in bollards, like we have amazing amount of products. The utilities come and they kind of do their own bit, and then they go, and you are expected to kind of find your way around. And then utilities also give an opportunity for people to kind of settle on footpaths. So I don't think we can blame them. Of course, junctions are one of the worst to kind of deal with. And where footpaths are being done at level, they are at a level where virtually it's like 2 steps or 3 steps, and it's like this was a Hindustan Times image which we like to kind of use it. This is very old, from 2002, so things have not changed. Like, how do we really walk on our footpaths? Like, if it goes every time you have to kind of climb 2 steps, and then the medians are as beautiful as they can be, and of course getting with a sari and crossing a median itself is a challenge. So because there's a crossing is quite far, so I think there is somewhere you have to cross. So very functional medians are being blocked because we don't want zebra crossings. This is Hutatma Chowk. This is the railing of Hutatma Chowk, one of the most important Grade 1 monument in Mumbai. And the solution that we have kind of found is this, which is called stamped concrete. Somewhere it looks like wood, somewhere it looks like cobble, somewhere it looks like, I don't know, yeah, polygonal masonry. I think students from architecture can tell much more. clearly what this pattern is. But essentially something which survives only for a year, maybe max two. So so what we did is we since 2002 we've been trying to say that look at footpaths. People have built footpaths. It's not like rocket science. It's not like you need to involve ISRO in making footpaths. And this is like we are looking at New York City because we found it quite symbolic because footpaths are built and have remained there in many places for since 1880. So 140 years the footpaths are intact, and we'll show you certain examples. Of course, the lithographs show it, but and they're plain cement, concrete, cast in situ pavements. There are no paver blocks. There's no stamped concrete. There is no granite block. There's no fancy thing. It's plain cement, concrete. And if you see this, you'll realize that the color is different because they only repair sections which have cracked or settled. There also there is settlement, there are also cracks there, and those are. So if you look at any stretch, if you see the, I'll just take the, yeah, the pointer. This is something which is 100 years old. This is something which is made later. So there's a 19-20 ka gray ka farak because this is older footpath. This is a new footpath. They are making this in Manhattan and all. These are older footpaths. The new stretches are done here. See, the yellow mark is there to show that there's a crack, and we need to kind of, in the next scheme of things, remediate. So those markings are there. Even the marking here is to show that this is not safe for people, and that will be done in the next schedule of works. But these ones are the tactile tiles which have come up where tactile tiles were not there. So they did not follow the agriculture model. They are following a planning model that will deal with only things which we need to change. And it's very similar. If you look at Queens, these are the older footpaths. And wherever they had to make the tactile changes, they made those. And only that portion was touched. Same thing here. If you see this newsstand, these are older footpath sections. So you have a generation of footpaths being built with the same specifications, the same CC road specifications with even Indian Road Congress has. So it's not like rocket science that the specifications have to change and we need to evolve, bring in some specifications. They are there in Indian Road Congress since I think 1973 or something. So it's nothing new. So we looked at a lot of these examples and we kind of have been doing this since 2005. So LA, we looked at everywhere, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, everywhere they're following a same standard set of footpaths. Even in Australia, of course, they're being much more sensitive. They don't want people to go up and down. They would rather want the car to go up and down. So they have the footpath at grade and then the car kind of goes over a tabletop. So we went to the municipal corporation and we said that, okay, through the guise of heritage conservation, we said you can't look at any of the heritage building because the thing is you tend to fall. So if you need to improve visibility to heritage building, can we do some footpaths as samples? And after a lot of persuasion, they said, okay, ek pilot kar lo. Normally municipal corporations throughout India are, when you kind of sit on the head, they say ek pilot kar lo chal. Get off my head, do this thing. So we started with the first pilot, which was MG Road. We said that it does not have a character. If you just have a median, if you kind of just do up the footpath, just take 5-6 elements, and these elements will be good enough to render it into something which is much more walkable, but you can improve visibility of heritage buildings. So, and this was done in the COVID times in 2019 and 20. And what we discovered was that when we opened up the stretch, we found sand which was from 1850s. So every year footpath was getting done, but there was no underlayer. So the old beach which was there of Churchgate, we could find the old sand. So kitna billing hua, we don't look at that in between. But we found the old sand. We kind of went through the Indian Road Congress, took the layers, and we started kind of doing it as per the Road Congress. Curing was like has to be done 28 days. We said we'll do 28 days. COVID time, किसको क्या पता? पानी भर के रखा 28 days. It worked quite well. We also we found that most of the time the people who are digging were the new fiber optic utilities. So fiber optic utilities does not require the whole footpath to be dug. So we laid certain service lines which can be used. So even a small pipe of 8 inches can take about 140 fiber optics. So it's not like something which can be put in. So we put the layer, we did the median. We took this opportunity to also open up tree surrounds. Concrete was up to the bark, so we opened up and we said that 1 meter by 1 meter we kind of keep it open and do a ring beam. We also started working on the sections and developing the crust. And the crust, this is all using BMC specifications, BMC contractors, BMC SOR standard schedule of rates. So it's nothing which is not there. It's something which is there throughout, and I think it's there since 1888. So only thing what we got is we got some new tools, hand tools, magnesium bull float, groover, edger, which are small tools again available locally only, which could be used to kind of get the patterns right on the panel which we were doing. We also got some tapkars from bead and all. So wherever we found old stone, we got the people used to make varvanta, pata varvanta to make chutneys. The same guys we got, and we got those dressed again, the same stone with black basalt, massive 5,500 kilograms per cubic meter density. Nothing will happen to that. For 100 years, nothing happened. I don't think for the 100 years anything will happen. So we set it right. So something which was, on your right side is how it was when we discovered it. On the left side is once we set it out using the. We also re-engineered the footpath so that it has all the ramps, and we had the tactile tiles in at the ramps. So those details were sorted out. And we did this in 2019 using the BMC contractor, and it's still intact 6 years. Only because nobody has gone ahead and broken it, because there are services which have been laid below, which need not require to be touched upon. We also brought in some furniture. So if you now go to National Gallery of Modern Art and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya, that whole stretch is done by us, and that's like from 2019 till 2025. खेती नहीं किया अभी तक. We also used the stone which was behind Bombay University and set it up, and whatever was not there, we put it in CC Road. What it kind of brought to us is that a clear comparison of cast in situ vis-a-vis stamp concrete vis-a-vis your paver block. And if you're looking at it, the design life of cast in situ is minimum 30 to 50 years. In New York, it's gone beyond 100 years in many cases. Concrete is done from Roman times. Nothing happens to concrete if you don't touch it. So the patterns which we see, all these nice brown wooden patterns and all, they last for 1 or 2 years. And paver blocks is more or less same. So essentially, the choice is these three. These three, all of them conform to the standards, but the design life is different. So the choice that you take is something which we need to kind of. And of course, the cost wise, it's around 20-25% more expensive, but it is 50 times in terms of life. So we kind of thought that I'll run through the projects that we have kind of gone through. So this was the situation near National Gallery of Modern Art. This is what it is now, and even if you go now, you can tell me whether it is dug up or not. Same thing near National Gallery of Modern Art. Then, so we finished the sample and we said, why don't you give us now more? So I said, okay, now do 3 samples. One in western suburb, one in eastern suburb, one in city. So we said we'll do 3 samples. So one is we went to Chembur, Diamond Garden. And yeah, the street which had paver blocks, we kind of re-engineered it with ramps and with the hideous bus stops. We managed to kind of shift the bus stop, make it into bus pole, and kind of cleaned up the footpath, removed all the railings. Wherever there were services, we kind of went ahead and we made the ramps wherever it was possible, and crossings, as many crossings. And yeah, so this stretch was done. Again, this was 4 years back. And it's performed remarkably well. Again, there were no hawkers here. The real problems were the cars which were getting parked on the footpath. So, and I think Chembur Diamond Garden has a extremely kind of active citizens groups which don't allow any hawking to happen. And it's been, if you go in the morning, it's used extensively, the whole footpath. And so all these stretches were done, and we had the opportunity to meet Access for Hope and, you know, get it kind of, one second, sorry, it's a video. So we Access for Hope tested the thing, that's Sanket, and we found it works. So we got a lot of feedback from them, and one of the most important things is that they went ahead and asked the commissioner that, you know, put these tactile tiles all along, so visually challenged can kind of be far more kind of guided through each of the guiding tiles. So you see the lanes, but if you see the footpath, I think this was the best test which we could do. Like, let IIT do whatever they want to do, but this was something which, so I think this was one of the best kind of ways for us to kind of understand that this was working. So this was taken at Hindu colony, Parsi colony. The stones which were there were laid back into, so brought in. This is new VJTI, and we started kind of cleaning up. So if you see, our work more than architecture planning was more janitorial to kind of clean up things which were there. So, huh? Housekeeping, yeah, much worse than housekeeping. So we found that, yeah, the bollards were required in certain cases, not to allow the cars in, but they were not so closely required so that the wheelchair could be prevented from going in. So this is in the other parts. The images outside on your banners, so those are much better images. The same thing which we took in Bandra, we tried it near Chetna College. So the circle around it is where we, and these railings were completely not required, so we got rid of railings. It was not a happy situation with the contractors. Uh, Same thing, no, because the really this railing is more of a problem. If someone is walking with a purse and somebody takes your purse, you can't jump over the railing and run after that person. So essentially, it becomes a corridor where you're stuck. So in terms of safety and all, these railings really don't mean anything. So we opened up. We moved to Goregaon, MG Road in P South Ward, and the footpath started becoming narrower. Abhi, the thing is, I know Rishi and all have been grumbling since 25 years. Suburbs are still suburban, so footpath है ही नहीं. It's like 9 meter का footpath city में, and we have to walk over gutters. So, and it's been, covered gutters, yeah, where you can, नहीं नहीं, but if you have a footpath, the trek is okay. There are areas which don't have footpath, because where will cars park? So so anyways, so MG Road also we managed with huge amount of opposition from hawkers and all, but the shopkeepers were very happy that, you know, the hawkers were organized. We tried one part of Churchgate Station, Churchgate East, where we could bring in the tactile tiles and pavers. Churchgate West, they still fight with railways, which is going on. So there's work happening. Eventually, it'll happen. Shama Prasad Mukherjee Chowk, again 8-meter wide footpath, stone we could find. But here we could bring in the tactiles, yeah. So, uh, and then what happened is after they went smartly, we took out a circular that, this guiding tactile and warning tactile should be put in all footpaths. So essentially using that, we could kind of say that abhi to ye add karne gaya tha. And this happened. These are the stretches which are there near RBI, Reserve Bank of India, just opposite RBI. This is again near Kalagoda is where we kind of again put in, and we could open the tree surrounds much larger. The bigger trees which were kind of put on top couldn't be moved, but we still managed to have the larger tree surround. The RBI stretches, we could reinstate the stone with the guiding lines. In the ward, Pandita Ramabai Marg, again very narrow footpaths. I'm just showing the different scales. So right from 8, 9, 10-meter footpath to 1 meter, 2 meters. Everywhere it works. So if somebody says, oh, New York has wide footpaths, we can't do CC, caste in situ payments, it's not true. It can be done anywhere. And so this was before in Kashibai Naurange Marg. This is after. Same thing is Laburnum Marg, before, after. Yeah, that slippery paver blocks. In fact, these are strange because they're so expensive to kind of do every year, and they become very slippery during monsoons. So you can't really walk, and eventually we found most people walking on the road instead of the footpaths. So getting a CC road became a kind of much better option, and we did it at Krishna Sangi Road. One of the most important thing eventually was the Agast Kranti Maidan, where there's a pedestrian pathway actually connecting two parts of D ward, and otherwise you have to take a long route around. So that goes through the Maidan, and so it was like this. We also got the pillars of one of the bridge which was being broken down, and we got it and put it here. So the fencing was removed, the whole thing was opened up. So it was like this. The same thing with this was the entry and the traffic island, which was kind of built up around hiding the Petit statue. We opened the whole thing and we made it kind of go through. There were a lot of things on the footpath which have been removed, and this was the Petit footpath which was above. This is what is opened up. And after a long time, maybe after 50, 60 years, people can see the actual carvings in Carrara marble on the Petit statue. So you can actually go close to it and you can see all the details which is there. So I think what we find at the end of it for Mumbai, we talk about pedestrian priority policy, but every policy is where it's the pedestrian last policy. Like we are making coastal road, we are making all infrastructure project where priority to pedestrian becomes last. So I think let us not continue with the charade of pedestrian priority policy on paper and not doing anything on ground which is pedestrian priority policy has to come through all your other policies. It cannot be just on paper. So very smart to kind of take it to COP and other places. Say we have a pedestrian priority policy, but we implement everything which is pedestrian last policy. Conforming to standards is nothing. We have one of the best standards. We don't need to frame any standards. We don't need anybody doing it. If you stick to whatever standards that we have, we get extremely well result. Public money has to be looked into longevity and efficiency. You cannot put public money like a paddy crop every year and keep on doing it over and over again. It is public money. So that itself means that it has to be used for something which will last for long and will be efficient. Nothing which we do in public domain cannot be inclusive and access for all. That is something which is there. It could be a infant, it could be physically challenged, it could be an expecting mother, it could be senior citizens. It needs to be accessible to all. Priorities need to be crowdsourced. People know a lot, and this WhatsApp is an issue, but if you use it in a good way and you kind of set your priorities, asking people what they want in the area, there are easier ways to do through crowdsourcing, and that is the way. Like I think if we kind of think that nahi, it doesn't work, it works. Like all TV channels, may all game shows, everything is crowdsourced. Can't public policy be crowdsourced and opinion taken? And third thing is disaster preparedness cannot be not considered in any footpaths. You cannot have open drains, you cannot have open gutters, you cannot have slippery footpaths, you cannot have flooded footpaths. So essentially the way forward is the 6 points which are all there entrenched in a policy. We can kind of not look at it or not implement it, but something which we need to do. And I just thank that BMC gave us the opportunity. There's no point blaming BMC, because all that we have worked is through the local authority, and we are doing that in Satara, we are doing that in Latur, we are doing it where we are getting the local authority to work. So it's easy to blame local authority, this is corrupt and that is like this, and but we managed to perform in the same framework, with the same specifications, with the same people, the same contractors, but got the desired results. So there's a way of working which we would kind of appreciate if we do it. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Pankaj. May I please request Aishwarya to give our token of appreciation to you?
Thank you very much, Pankaj.
Can
Sorry,
we
we
have
had
a
to.
picture, please? Thank you, Pankaj, once again for all your insights.